Yeah, there's studies that show
changed it,
that color can inspire, color can increase creativity and retention of information. So schools that will paint a hallway bright colors or patterns or shapes are more likely to have student success than if they are neutral, institutional type looking, and even just surrounding with art. So I love that opportunity. I think that is a good case of where people might not notice their surroundings unless we're forcing them to stop and think and see things differently because there's art there.
All right. Those were the easy questions.
Oh, no. I got some tough ones.
No. This is that was a bad lead-in, but how do you teach art? It's like, do students have it or don't have it, or everybody has it to a degree, and you how do you get creativity out of those students? I never had an answer or an idea how that's done.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that it's so different for everybody.
Yeah.
And there's this assumption that art is only for the gifted and a genius and that it's innate, you have it or you don't. And teaching, for instance, this semester, I taught drawing 1 last semester, drawing 2 this semester. People will come in and say, I can't draw.
Right.
It's just another way of thinking. It's another way of communicating, and everybody can get better at drawing. Right. But there's also so many different types of drawing. There's so many different types of art. Right. So one person might gravitate towards digital art or photography, and that's a gift, and that's a sort of a vision and a certain way of seeing and communicating. Painting is another. And, you could have a painter like, Michelangelo painting the Sistine Chapel, but then you also have an artist that you might be familiar with, like Keith Haring, drawing directly on the subway walls that is more cartoony. Is one better than the other? They're both art. They're both different ways of thinking. And so when someone says, I can't draw or I can't paint, they're thinking only that one model of like, it has to look realistic. It has to be naturalistic. And so, yes, you can teach art. Mm-hmm. Yes, everyone can draw. And for me, the approach really is just opportunities.
Right.
There's so many opportunities that you can take advantage of where students get interested in a particular material.
Right.
Or even subject matter and explore that. It's like research. And the more you spend time on it, the more you're going to kind of find your niche and what interests you. And what, even if it's really weird or esoteric, if it's some weird thing, there's going to be some weirdo out there that's also interested in it. And it's just finding your audience. So,
because you've taken art classes, yes, Gavin? So how did the process work for you?
Well, to agree with what Bork said, I always come in saying I can't draw. I cannot draw. I maybe can do like stick figures.
That's the type of drawing.
But with Miss Smithson's class, she really allowed us to like go out and do different types of like art. Like there was one project where everybody else was drawing and I made a hoodie. And I was like, that's like I can do that, so I can make that look good. So that's my experience with art class, just different avenues you can make your art.
Yeah.
That's great.
Is catching students at this point in their life, is there still creativity there? Because I kind of have the suspicion that, I don't know, the world around us kind of will beat the creativity out of you eventually.
I think that's part of it. Is like when you're younger and there's the right way of doing things and there's kind of like you're graded to make sure that it's done correctly. Mm-hmm. But instead, I think it's not always the quality. It can be the process. If you trust the process, if you're making the attempt and you're learning, who's to say that it has to look a certain way, right? To know that you checked that box and you learned how to cross hatch or you learned how to shade. There's some very objective based things that you can, draw a sphere and make it look spherical, make it look like it's 3-dimensional and it has a light source. Mm-hmm. That's an objective thing. But we're not trying to teach everybody to draw the same exact way. Everybody sees the world differently. Everyone has their own perspective. So we learn these different tools and techniques so that they can apply them, so that they can see what direction they want to take them. And it would be really boring and monotonous if everybody wound up making the same thing, right? So when they come in, I think that it maybe is a surprise, because some of the high school mentality too is let's spend 6 weeks on one project and they're all going to be good when we're done. That's a little bit easier than in 6 weeks we're going to make 6 projects and you're going to learn 6 different things from them, and trust the process and don't worry about if it's perfect. We got a long time to make a perfect masterpiece.
So go ahead, Gavin.
Okay, I just wanted to piggyback and off what Pat said. He said that do you think this at this point in time the creativity is being beaten out of people, like you said, with all the things going on and stress and whatnot? I want to contradict that and say, do you think this is a time where people are their most creative? You got to bring it out of them, because everybody sees something different in a different way. Like this podcast, we see it as a podcast. Someone else could see it as like opportunity to learn about Dustyn Bork and art. So do you think at this point, through your classes, that you have students that are them hidden gems?
Exactly.
And once you bring them out, they're
exactly.
all-stars?
Definitely, 100%. I mean, some of the students would take a class like you did with Miss Smithson, where it was this is one class, just an opportunity for me to take an art class, or taking Intro to Visual Arts because it's a core requirement. And next thing they know, it's I see myself making art. I see myself being creative. Or a student that maybe is taking one art class but they're a psychology major, and then they realize there's art therapy is an option. They could double major or even minor in art, major in psychology. And I love when a student says, I never thought I would be able to do this. That is such a satisfying, that's instant gratification for them, producing a tangible thing. But for me, also seeing that it awakened something in them that they didn't think they could do, and now they can do it. And I never know what they're going to get excited about. One class might love something. I bring it back to the next group and they're just crickets, We had an artist come in last week, Kate Aitchison from Bluff, Utah, and she makes her own paper. And we have some of the materials to do that, but I've never taught it. And now all the students in my printmaking class are we're making paper, and they're just so excited to do it. But in another group, if the, same idea of we're going to start this semester making paper, they're going to be but why? And some of it is noticing in themselves, but sometimes it's seeing something in another student as well. That's why we like to share our sketchbooks. It's normally you don't share your sketchbook with other people, but we're kind of holding the space in the classroom where they know they're not being judged, that they might not show someone, they might not show a relative or something, but they're going to show their classmates because they're going to see the potential in even an unfinished sketch or just the start of something where wow, I could see this becoming a painting or a print. And so we're such a visual culture that I think that because of Pinterest and Instagram and TikTok, that we're all creators. We're all content creators. And it's what is your thing? And you can cultivate that to be a way to express yourself. And it's introducing something that I would thought as an obsolete technology. I'll introduce it in the class. We did ink painting yesterday in my drawing class, and a student said, I'm so excited to do this because this is something I've seen on YouTube. I always wondered how it was done, and now I get a chance to do it. I'm surprised because something that I maybe would take for granted, or something that I'm introducing as an obsolete technology that's boom, they've already seen it.
Yeah.
It's kind of that awareness is really interesting.
Oh yeah. So with nurturing creativity, how do you grade creativity? I mean, this is a college. Students take courses, they receive grades. That would seem to me be a lot more challenging than, say, somebody in the Derby building, and you take biology, you know it or you don't. Math, it's right or it's wrong. How do you go about grading?
Yeah,
art?
It's you just kind of randomly go this and then as a B. Really, but don't give my secrets out. Hopefully no students listen to this or watch this. No, it's again, it goes back to if I've been clear with what the assignment is.
Yeah.
They can even break the rules, right? If the assignment is about create an image that explores one of the 7 principles of design, and it's through collage, but they end up painting a bunch of different things and then cut those up and recombine them in a new composition. Everyone else did a collage, and they did this new thing. It's as long, and they said they were exploring economy or movement. Right. They did it. They accomplished it, and that's measurable. That's an outcome, right? And if I'm clear with the assignment, which sometimes I'm not, or sometimes, they might nail one assignment, the next one is more of a struggle, but there are certain things that we can look for. Was it well crafted? Was the technique there? Did they think about the edge of the frame? Did they utilize some of the vocabulary? But I agree, sometimes it's very subjective, and I try to hold myself accountable. So I use a rubric and I'm trying to look for certain criteria. But at the end of the day, it's like, is the effort there? Is the intention there? I try to encourage students to break the rules all the time so that maybe it doesn't have to fit into this box that we're worried about grading, because art is subjective and beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But there's so many different ways of doing it, and it's not just my way. That's the right way.
Hello, this is Pat Lynch, and thank you for listening to the Career Pathways podcast, whether it's your first time or you've listened to a whole bunch. If you want to check out some more, there's a video on the other side of the screen. I can't see it because I'm talking into a mic, but if you would, go over there. There's an icon there. You can click and subscribe, and then you'll be getting the Career Podcast feed daily. So again, thanks for your support. Thanks for listening, and look forward to a lot more great Career Pathways podcasts in the future. Take care.